Hello and welcome to the second tutorial in using SQL with Python. Now if you haven't already done it, you need to go back and do the first tutorial in this series first, because you will need the code above to be able to run the code that we're going to go over today. So if you haven't already, go back and watch that tutorial now and get the code written up down to where it says tutorial 2, and then come back and start this tutorial. So last time we looked at how to create a table for our database so we could set up specific columns for storing our information. We saw how we could save that data into just variables, and then how to insert the contents of those variables into the correct columns in our database. We then saw how to get everything back out of our database using the select star command, and we also saw how to neatly print all of our data from the database. Now that's great, but very often you need to do a lot more than that. So the first little block of code here that I've done for you, this shows you how to select specific columns from a database. And it's very simple. We just go cursor.execute, and then in single brackets we just say select, and then it's just the column names we want. So in this example we've got surname and forename from the contacts table, but just as easily it could be the phone number or the email that we put in here, just to get that specific column. We then go and fetch all of the data using the fetch all function, and then we can just print it out, and that will go and get all the sort of surnames and forenames. Perfect. However, you might want to go a bit further. You might want to search for a particular contact in your database, and that's something you would do very often. For example, using your mobile phone, you'll want to find a particular contact, so this is very useful. Now here we can just store the name of the person you want to search for, so we've just prompted them to ask for the first name. Then we use a simple for loop to loop through the rows in the database, and we then tell it to select all, so star is a wildcard for select everything basically, from the contacts database where the forename is equal to question mark. Now what basically happens, the contents of the variable name, which we've got here, which is the name the user has entered, gets basically slotted into where the question mark is, and as the for loop executes and it goes through all of the rows in the database, it just checks, is this name the same as what we've got stored here? If it finds it, it then prints out that particular row. Very nice. Quite simple, straightforward, and it allows us now to search our database. Next thing we'll often need to do is people's details change. You get a new phone number, so you're going to need to occasionally update your database. So we can do something quite similar as we did here, where we just ask first for the name, because obviously you need to know whose phone number to update. We then store a new number to update with, and then we use this command here, update. So update the contacts table, and then set the home number to equal question mark. So remember that's a placeholder for the contents of this, where the forename equals again question mark, and again that's the contents of the variable here, which is the name of the person whose number we're updating. And then simply we commit that just to make sure that actually is then applied to our database. Done. So we can do that with lots of different ways. You can take this base code and you can, for example, set a new email where the forename is equal to a particular name. You can change a street number, address, whatever you want. So very, very useful. Another important functionality you're going to need is to be able to delete records, because again, sometimes you don't want someone in your address book anymore, so you're going to need to delete them out. So again, we've got a simple block of code where we can just, for example, enter the email of a contact we want to delete. So do it by email this time rather than name, because you might have two Johns or two Andrews in your database, so we can do it by email, so it's unique. And then we just use the delete command. So we delete from contacts where the email equals, again, question mark for the placeholder, and the contents of the email get swapped into place. Perfect. And that will delete that contact. Finally here, we've just got a block of code which we've seen in the first tutorial. We just get everything from the database just to check that our contact is deleted. And then finally, I've commented this out because I didn't want to destroy my database. This is useful if, for example, you ever want to completely start again. So what you can do here is go con.execute, delete from contacts, and that will just delete all of your contacts out. So it's a useful one if you ever want to start again and get rid of everything from the table. And then finally, you should always close the connection to your database when you finish working. Okay, let's see that running. Okay, so here we go. So we'll just enter some details first. So we'll just use, I don't know, Bobby, and his full name is Bob. Home address, 22 the street, I don't know. There we go. And home number, just give him a home number. Email, so it'll be Bobby. Right, here we have it. So now we can see our code executing. So this is from the first tutorial. We've just got all of the contacts out of the database. Here is our first part of our new code actually running. So what we've got here is just the forenames coming out. So Smith, Dave, John, Jones, James, Smith, John, Bobby, Bob. So that's all the surnames and forenames. Now we can then go and select the person's first name. So if we go, I don't know, James. There we go. And as you can see, that's just pulled out James's actual details. So that's really useful. So we can now search for the details of a particular person. So if we update a phone number. So if we go for James again. Here we go, so we can see there's the old number, so let's change it, 01389, something different, and enter a email contact to delete, so let's choose somebody else to delete, so I don't know, let's choose Bobby for example. There we go. And let's see if that's been successful. So all we've done here is finally we've got everything out of our database again, so we can see now, yep, Bobby's gone, and let's just check if that phone number updated correctly, 01389 for James. So if we come down here and see Jones James, you can see here that the phone number has successfully updated. There you go. There's some useful functionality for your database. We'll cover some more details next time, but for now, that will give you a lot of functionality to be getting on with. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.